Okay, welcome back to beginning chess, chess for beginners rather. This in this particular game here, I am playing my favorite white opening, which is the London. I mean, I enjoy the King's Gambit also, and and a couple of others, Rui Lopez. However, let's look at this one. So the London system is a very good attacking system, even though people think it's the London, it's long and boring and it's drawn out. Well, when you're a beginning player, you can use this also to your advantage. You can play the London slow, and once you get really good at it, you can play the London with some traps and some attacking chess, like capturing a rook with your knights. You can really control the center of the board. I think it's really good for a beginning player to learn this opening. It puts you, if you memorize the moves on the London, it will put you automatically in a very strong position. But most players, be advised, until you really learn the London, you will probably lose a lot. But you will also gain a lot of valuable experience and a lot of valuable knowledge. So the Horwitz defense does not work well for the London. Does not work against the London at all. It even if a player, which this one was a little bit stronger than myself, my rating has went down considerably because I was playing tired and I've lost over 100 points. I was somewhere almost at one point 1600, and now I'm down into the 1300s playing blitz games and whatnot. But anyway, let's get into the game. So standard d4, e6, bishop f4, d5, e3, c6, knight f3. So right now, there's really nothing much wrong with Black's position, for the exception he's what he's not doing is he's not allowing me to only have the center. There are some. Had I played the London variation correctly, and in this particular sequence, I'm not doing the move order correctly, and I know that. So if there's any grandmasters watching, I know that I'm making mistakes here and inaccuracies. However, I play the London a lot, and depending on what I'm seeing Black do, I ad lib the game. Maybe that's good, maybe it's not, but I get away from theoretical concepts at sometimes. So this is what you're not going to do as Black. You're not going to aggressively attack this London and think you're going to come out on top. When I back up here, your absolute best bet is to continue to develop your minor pieces and leave this bishop alone. Now, I've said this in previous videos. To take this bishop when it is on g3 is a blunder. It is a mistake. You're going to lose. You're going to lose bad, and you're going to lose swift. You're going to lose very quickly. And I don't care if you castle queen side. I don't care if you castle king side. You're going to lose. The rook on controlling this entire H file is very strong. I've had stronger players, 17, 1800, make this mistake, and I beat them. Okay, so he takes, bishop takes g3, h takes g3. The game is virtually over at this point. He opens, and now I'm preparing to uh, make a vicious attack on the king side. He took the knight. I took back with the queen. Why? Like I said in previous videos, when moves present itself so I can develop my pieces, I typically play those moves, especially if I want the queen on this row anyway. There's no threat here. There's no dark square bishop. He can't pin me to the king anyway because I haven't played the move c3. So I'm good here. We can't swap queens. He can't come down with the queen and force an exchange. I'll just simply play the move c3 and block it off. At which point he would probably he couldn't move to b5. He would have to move to b6, and that doesn't bother me any. I would simply play the move c4 and leaving the queen here to protect him from taking this pawn here. But I'm preparing to castle, and but there was really never a need to castle. So knight g5. The move engine is telling me to take with the bishop. No, I'm not going to take with the bishop. I'm going to take with the knight, force him to take back, and then we have some fun. So he comes here. I take with the knight. He takes, excuse me, D takes e4, and bishop takes e4. So I think one of the problems with this chess player is he or she, whoever it is, does not, Nicolas, so I'm going to assume it's a he, does not calculate well at all. He lost, but he's taken both knights, and somewhere along the line, I believe he's been taught that you always take the knights. So when you take the knight, that's because someone can't play with the knights or they have trouble against the knights. But for beginners, listen, it's going to be your preference. Knights and bishops is a big debate amongst chess. Which one is stronger? They're both strong. They're equally strong. The bishop pair can give you a fit, but this game, if you look at it, piece wise, we're equal. Okay, but here's the problem: his white bishop is weak. My white bishop is strong. Why? Because my white bishop is active. His white bishop is blocked in, which is a minor piece. His rooks are not connected. His queen is not in the game. So positionally, white is winning tremendously. I have a whole H file over here. I have this diagonal here that I'm controlling with both the queen and the bishop attacking this H7 square, and the king is defenseless. And out of all the moves, I don't know why, but a lot of beginners like to just bring the queen. She's the answer to everything. Let's see what he does. Queen d6. This is absolutely a move that does not make sense to me whatsoever. It does not make sense. Maybe I saw later on where he wanted to do something like force the center or do some move trickery or whatever, but I immediately snap off the h7. Now, here's where I made a blunder. Right here is forced checkmate. King has to take, and then the queen comes here, mate. I totally missed that move. I missed it. So what happened was check, and then I pushed this pawn up, blocking my own queen in, and then I had to ad lib a little bit. I made a huge mistake, huge error. So now I'm forcing the queen over the board, okay, and now I have her. She's on a light square. So I just want you to know I do recognize my error where I missed the mate. It was and the computer told me. And at this point, it says checkmate is now unavoidable because again, I had the same move, and again, I chose not to. So I come here, check, and then I take his queen, and now checkmate. So if you notice, I never castled. I left the option to castle over until I started attacking with this rook over here. Um, but I still could castle to the other side. So the option for me to castle was still there. And something I want to point out to you. Okay, so prior to me making a really idiotic move, two things you want to know. When you take this pawn over here, okay, back earlier on, let's go back to the beginning because this is an early move. When you take the bishop and you take back, there are several strategies you can do. You want to immediately control this square right here. But what you don't want to do, what you want to avoid, which is a strategy for the other player, is they start pushing these pawns, forcing you to eventually lock this up to protect the H square and they lose material and pawns, but trust me, they get them back when they castle to the other side, or if they castle to this side, they get those pawns back, okay, and they make up for it. So here, if you notice, I didn't take his knight. I let him take my knight. Why? Because I wanted to deploy the queen, and then two, I did not want this pawn lingering here. If I take, this pawn is lingering. I can't deploy my bishop to here. I have to move my knight. It's just not good, okay? So I threatened his knight. I say, look, I will take your knight. And that would be a good take. So he went ahead and took it. But I did not want to take with my bishop. That was not the plan. There was no way I was going to take my bishop. Now, also, once you've completed the pyramid here, if you're not really comfortable playing the London, go ahead and castle here. And then on your very next opportunity, move to the B square, B1. Put your king on B1. I'm going to say this again. Put your king on B1 and make sure your queen is not on C2, because if you don't have a light square bishop, that's another tip. But you're pressuring this file right here. Okay? If the queen comes up to here, okay, you want to immediately trade this knight off. You want to go here, snap it off. He's going to take the knight. You're going to open this file. That's okay. Then move your queen to here in front of your king because I have a light square bishop. And eventually moving your queen to over here to the A file, A3, and attacking this side over here and pushing these pawns forward and putting the rook in good places while using the pawns to support the pawns, and try doubling up on this file to increase the strength of your rooks. But you definitely want them centralized if you're not going to stack them and cover a couple of diagonals. Okay, so since this one has a complete open file, I would leave the bishop in place here, push and move this rook to the D file. That would be a good strategy when they castle queenside. But because his bishop is so terrible, he had to castle kingside, and he used the bishop for long range support. But as you saw in the game, it never came into fruition because he was mated very swiftly. By the time his bishop came out, he was capturing the bishop back after losing his queen. So that was that. Anyway, beginners, thank you for watching and enjoy the other videos. Learn from my mistakes, and happy chess playing.